Wilson Elementary is a fine little elementary in Norman Public Schools. It served a working class neighborhood, but there were plenty of students' kids and teachers' kids and professional kids mixed in. It was a fine neighborhood school. It only had about maybe 300 students and one ED class. It also had a class for MR, now it's aide, intellectual disabilities instead of mental retardation. LD for reading, another one for math. Quite a few students went to those. And the teacher they had there had a fair amount of experience. Carolyn Shave. He worked in residential facilities, so he'd kind of been around a bit. But she had also learned her restraint techniques from police officers, so it was rough. When I asked her about it, she said, "Hey, that's how I was taught." The cop said, "Yeah, you grab them, you throw them down like this." So she did it like the cops did it. I did it like she did it. She also taught me to start spitting me. Rub the spit on their nose like a puppy. It's a little more complicated than that. You know, if they can just sit there and spit and spit and spit, and you know you're never going to be able to get them to clean it up because they're going to go home, and you're not going to leave a puddle of spit there. So you got to find a way to make it have a cost. But there's better ways than rubbing your face in it. But that's how I was taught. I was going to UCO at the time, living in Norman and driving to Edmond to go to college. OU's education department was just in that big of a turmoil. People ran away from it in droves. UCO's education program quadrupled, or at least doubled. I went to my first night class, Foundations of Education. There weren't enough desks. They had to open up a whole new section. I asked the teacher there, I said, "Do you have to actually have a calling to do this work? Or can you just be technically proficient?" He said, "At the end of the course, you tell me what you think." So I took his course. He was not a bad professor, and at the end of the course I said, "I think being technically proficient is perfectly good enough." And he went, "I think you're right." I should have listened closer to him. But along the way, you get a lot of other people telling you gotta give up this or give up that, or, you know, gotta really love the kids. Miss Shave had some of that in her as well. She cared deeply about the kids. There isn't anybody I'm talking about here I don't think cared deeply about the kids, with the exception of some of the parents. Not all. There's some great ones out there, but some of them couldn't have cared if they wanted to, and some of them just didn't want to. But everybody else who was reasonably sane, was trying to do a good job, trying to teach me to do a good job, trying to help me to learn the best way, to help them learn the best way. It just wasn't very good. But we were under-resourced. A lot of the kids are on meds in aide classrooms, but not all. At Wilson, it was about half, and they'd be on and off and on and off. It was mostly ADHD medicine, not really stuff designed for, extreme anxiety or depression stuff, but although it could be there. One day when Mrs. Shave was absent, one of the kids started on some new meds, and he came in and he fell asleep. It wasn't that unusual a circumstance. Depending on the setting, it's not unusual for ED teachers to let a sleepy kid sleep. Maslow's triangle being what it is. If the kid's sleepy, they gotta sleep. Sometimes they wake up and they get a whole day's worth of work done after they take a nap. You don't sweat the small stuff if the kid's willing to work after they wake up. But this kid wouldn't wake up even when it was time for lunch. And so I got scared when I got him to his feet and he's stumbling around. I think, oh great, I've got a kid who's OD'd on something. Turns out he's just allergic to the new drugs, and it was anaphylactic shock. Is that all? I said, sure, glad you didn't let him get to sleep any longer. Me too. Sure, I'm glad I didn't let him sleep any longer. And those are the lessons that you learn. How to hold a kid and still sing along. How to hold a kid and still read a book. How to hold a kid. She taught me some ways that were quickly undone. It was common ones where you basically hold the kid's arms underneath their own arms. Basket hold, they call it. You can wrap your legs around their waist. A little kid, a grown person, it's pretty effective hold on a lot of them, but some of them are very wiry, and some of them are very strong, and some of them are very big. And so, there's different things you can do. You can lay them on the floor and do a straight arrow hold where you're sitting on them, but they're pinning their hands and arms down, face down. Not a really great one-person hold, but it's in a pinch. I was constantly pinched. I did that hold all the time. All the time. If you have two people, that helps. You're careful of the knees and the ankles and the joints. You don't twist. But you don't hesitate. When you're going to make a move, you make a big move. You take them, you use your weight, your advantage, and you get control. And if you got to move them someplace, you hoist them up so they're on their toes and you pigeon walk them there, quick and quiet, so they can't kick anybody along the way. It's easier on them in the long run. What do you tell yourself? And afterwards, they don't hold many grudges. But I never found a whole lot of heart in that, because, kids always continue to love their abusers. So, yeah, kind of unusual they wouldn't hold a grudge against a teacher that puts them in a restraint, But they really seemed to understand. And when other kids were in a restraint, they seemed to understand. But they were the one being restrained, that part of the brain simply wasn't working. When it was working, they were like, no hard feelings. What did you say? You said no hard feelings, of course. There aren't any. But it doesn't take away the fact that we spent 20 minutes clawing and kicking and spitting. It's hard to look at you the same way. They expect me to do the triad of love. The touch, the look, the word. All the while I'm going to school, and man, they are teaching me nothing there. One course. I learned some stuff in it. Fascinating course. Good old UCO Learning Lab. So while I'm doing this at Wilson, practically, I'm learning so much BS at UCO scholastically. We'll do UCO next.